I bet I know something about your body that you may not even realize yourself. And that's probably because you were never taught to look for it in the first place. I'm Jamie Kowalski, and I teach people how to use everyday tools for addiction recovery so that they can get and keep their life together. I use these simple and practical methods myself in order to keep freedom from my alcohol addiction, and they'll work for your long-term recovery too. So the thing we've never really been taught to look for is how emotion shows up in our body. We might kind of have some idea about it. For example, when we're angry or stressed or tense, in the mind we might feel that tension in the shoulders, or maybe when we're afraid of something we might talk about having that fear in the gut. So actually a lot of us are a little bit familiar with this when it comes to big emotions or emotions that are showing up in a really clear way. But what about the more subtle emotions? What about the things that are kind of under the surface? And those are the things that often trigger us in recovery to choose to not do the next right thing, to pick up our substance again, or at the very least to let our character imbalances kind of rear their ugly head. That darkness comes back in different ways. It might not be full on picking up a substance again, but we all know that when we've got stuff going on kind of under the surface that we're not dealing with or processing, or otherwise kind of working with in order to let it go, let it move on, then that stuff kind of comes out sideways elsewhere, often in relationships with other people or at work, in traffic. So the idea is, how can we work to understand and look at that stuff before it starts coming out sideways in unpredictable, unhealthy, and unhelpful ways? So do this for me if you're willing. Would you just stop for a moment, whatever you're doing, and if you're standing or sitting, it doesn't matter, just close your eyes and begin to breathe deeply. In through your nose, out through your mouth, or whatever works for you. Allow your belly to fully expand on the in-breath and completely exhale. Take your time, long and slow exhalation. And now bring something to mind that's troubling you a little bit. Maybe it's a situation at work or a relationship problem, or something that you're worried about in terms of how life is going right now. Maybe something that's related to a fear of the future. Keep your eyes closed, keep breathing, and begin to tune in your sensations to the emotion of what that feels like. This issue that's going on for you. What does it feel like in your body? Where can you almost visualize this problem or issue hanging out, where things aren't moving, where it's stagnant, where it's getting stuck? And continue breathing. It may be in your gut, it may be in your chest or your throat. Notice how your breathing changes, perhaps, when you bring this issue or problem to mind, when you start trying to feel this emotion and notice it in the body. Watch your breathing. Watch kind of how you're sitting or standing. Notice if you change your position. It might show up in the hands or the legs. It might not show up at all, or it may come and go. The idea is we're learning to look. Continue for a few more breaths. If your mind wanders, return attention to your breath and start to bring an open-minded awareness and a process of investigation to this. Just looking, not trying to judge or label or fix, but simply begin to be aware that there's a connection between the emotion that you're having and where it might show up in your body, what it feels like. And take one more full deep breath. Let go of this process, open your eyes, and please try to understand that this is not woo-woo stuff. Modern medical science is beginning to understand that, as Nikki Meyer says, the issues live in the tissues. Stress, traumatic events in our past, things that we're worried about in the future, conflict, these things which, kind of everybody's got in one way or another, but those of us with addiction problems have to really be even more specially attuned to what's going on with them, because when we can look and identify and see sort of where they're sitting in the body, what that feels like, we can do a better job of addressing them, maybe with yoga or qigong, breathing techniques, other strategies that I teach as part of my tools for everyday use in addiction recovery. And the process, however, begins with beginning to look, beginning to feel, beginning to realize something that you may not know about your body that I did, that you probably have an emotion going on that is stuck or showing up somewhere. And what I do know is that if you're taught this really simple technique to pause, close your eyes, breathe, and look for it, observe what it feels like, you can begin to have a relationship on a more refined level with what's going on in your mind and your heart, how it shows up in your body, and even more importantly, how that shows up in the external world then is the choices we make, the words that we say, the actions that we take. So if you'd like more information, please head on over to growingbalance.com. I offer free information, videos, tips, techniques, or head on over to facebook.com. Of course, Facebook, my page name is Growing Balance because I'm growing my ability to look at this stuff. I'm growing my recovery one day at a time, using these tools from nutrition to breathing to everything in between, but especially in including the tool of learning to look, taking the time, sitting with my feelings rather than just powering through the day and plowing on without any kind of awareness or pause for reflection. This stop, ground, look, investigate. This is a really, really simple, practical, but powerful tool. I encourage you to use it. I'd love it if you'd scroll down and give me a like or a comment would be great. Like my Growing Balance Facebook page. And please come back for more information. I love sharing this with you. I'm glad you took a little bit of time for yourself today to learn something new. And please practice this technique. In the car, at a red light is a great opportunity to do it. At a recovery meeting. You can get better at this. I have, and it helps a lot. So take a moment to just close your eyes or even leave them open. Breathe a little bit and see what it feels like to begin to investigate where and how emotions are showing up in your body. There's a lot behind that doorway. I encourage you to keep opening it, walk through. Here's to your recovery. I'll keep working on mine. Please keep coming back to work on yours. Have a great day. Be well.